Would you believe me if I said the words, there have been some changes since the last episode of City Skylines Nerdköping? Well, if you're new around here, then maybe you're not too familiar with that phrase, but it's something that I say in almost every single video, and it's definitely true in this one as well. Now, admittedly, it has been a little bit longer since the last episode of this series than it usually is between episodes of any series, but there have been some changes, and I figure it's only polite to show you what those changes are. And we start here right in the heart of the city of Nerdköping. This little island used to have nothing on it. And then I got thinking, well, what would I build here? I could build some condos, we could build some mansions, we could do something like the island out of Grand Theft Auto Vice City, where we have these huge, amazing looking mansions on a little island in the heart of the city. But then I thought, no, I want to do something a little bit more low key. So we have some keys that surround the island now, thanks to one of the recent content creator packs. We have some European bridges that connect to the island, thanks to one of the recent content creator packs. And then on the island itself is just an ancient graveyard with some destroyed walls and some ruined towers. And the reason I thought about doing this, the reason I wanted to build something that's a little bit similar to a castle, is because one of the first things that we ever built was a castle over here in the little town where this entire series started. So I thought, we have this history right here, we have this ruined castle, so why don't we try and link the town to the city by having a ruined and ancient graveyard? And I also thought it was an interesting little bit of storytelling. The reason I've gone in and added all of this grass around here is obviously for a bit of detailing, but I also like to imagine that the government for Nerdköping probably wanted to develop this island into something interesting, something where they could make a lot of money. But then they couldn't, because it was an historical site. So they built the keys, they made sure the island wasn't gonna, succumb to the forces of nature from the river, but they haven't really been maintaining it beyond that. So it is getting a little bit overgrown. It is, a little untidy in a few places, especially on this side where no one really goes. It's getting particularly overgrown. But I like that. I like that it sort of tells that little bit of a story, at least for me. I don't know if looking at it at first you kind of get that vibe, but that's the vibe that I have building it and looking at it, so that's good enough for me. Now, I do want to take a second to talk about some of the redevelopments that I have done in the old town. This was something that was a little bit controversial, and I don't remember if I ever got the chance to talk about some of the feedback on this area before we took a break from both YouTube and Nerdköping. One of the main things that people pointed out was the fact that none of my buildings have entrances. At least none of the modular buildings have entrances, because this one obviously does at the back there and on the other side. And the reason for that is just because I'm a little bit of an idiot and I didn't really do my research into how these buildings work. I knew they were modular, but I just didn't really pay attention to what I was placing. And if I did, then I would have seen that there are no doors to get into any of these, because they're supposed to be placed on top of other buildings. That's why they were floating when I was placing these buildings down. And that is something that I corrected when it came to doing a little bit of redevelopment in the downtown area. So this whole space in here is something that I wanted to build up and turn into a bit of a pedestrian-focused area. And I like to think I've done that. We've got a Tim Hortons, we've got a Five Guys, we've got a pharmacy. We have got a couple of buildings, well, one or two buildings here and there that might be missing. I'm almost certain there is supposed to be another building right here. Oh, what is my camera doing? Hello? Okay. There is supposed to be another building right here. I'm not really sure why it's despawned, but it absolutely has. You can kind of see there's room for a building right about there, and that's maybe something I should go ahead and fix. There we go. Now it's kind of looking the way I think it's supposed to look. We have this bench in front of it here. We have these benches to the side, and it's just an interesting little pedestrian area. We've got alleys back here that people can walk through. We've got another Tim Hortons, another Five Guys. We have another Tim Hortons, another Five Guys, but these buildings do at least have bases to them, and they are going to be commercial buildings as well, whereas the upper parts are residential. That's basically where I went wrong with the redevelopment in the Old Town. But that's not the only thing that I've done since the last episode. I've also gone ahead and done some detailing down here. I've added in a bunch of trees and some, just various bits of fencing to kind of hide some of the, not hide, but embrace would be the better word. Not even the opposite of hide, to embrace some of the green space that we have here. Otherwise, this whole thing would just be gray and paved over and a little bit miserable looking. So I think this is definitely preferable to having it all be gray and miserable looking and completely paved over. Another major thing that has happened since the last episode of this series is that the network multi-tool mod came out, and it is kinda cool. I've barely used it. I've barely scratched the surface with what's possible with that mod, but one thing it can do is let you select a road network, click a button, and place any type of road or train track or whatever right next to it. It has a parallel mode, essentially, a parallel button. So what I decided to do was select this train line that already existed and go ahead and put a one-way, one lane bit of highway going down there and one coming into the city from there. And that just looks cool. I really like this. I really like this. It's just interesting. In terms of connections, the roads connect underneath this district. We do have a tunnel down there. It's not a great connection, but it was just something to get some traffic going. And the train, at this end anyway, goes over to our Grand Central Station that you can sort of see in the distance right there, just sort of above the middle of the screen. Going in the other direction, it all goes through this mountain, and the roads connect right about here. So you can head out of the city, you can head across into the industrial area, which is where we're going in just a second, or you can take a left and head back into the city if you're just feeling like a drive underneath a mountain, which is, I don't know if it's something I feel like I would feel a little bit weird about that, to be completely honest. I don't know why. I feel I'd be really anxious, and then I'd realize that, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, this industrial area has also had a bit of work done to it. Nothing too major, but this is where the trains come in. They have a station right here that they can go to that I was hoping would get rid of some of the issues that this area is having, because it just doesn't have enough workers. And I keep seeing some of these mill buildings despawn. A bunch of these buildings have despawned and been rebuilt, which is a little annoying, because I did place down a bunch of very specific buildings for this little space, but we'll come back and place down some other specific buildings eventually, and everything will be okay. But these mill buildings, I love them so much. They are beautiful, beautiful models and are really accurate. I mean, they're very simple buildings. There's big rectangles, but I actually worked in a building that looks just like these a few years ago. Admittedly, it wasn't a mill, but it was turned into some offices about a decade or two ago. I rented an office. I ran this very YouTube channel out of that office for about 9 months, and then I decided it would be cheaper to invest in renovating the garage and move my office and studio in there, and that's where I am now. Now, I mentioned earlier about placing down plants and trying to make different areas look a little older, a little neglected, a little overgrown, and that's another thing that I'm trying to do here as well. I had to rebuild this wall that follows this track here. I'm pretty sure we had one of these already, but for some reason it was gone. So I decided to rebuild it, I don't know if this is the same wall that we used originally, and I was thinking of using a red brick wall so it kind of matched the mills here, but the red brick wall just wasn't wide enough. It looked a little bit weird. So I decided to go for this one, which is, I guess, a little more modern looking, although it does strike me as something that would maybe be put together sort of in the 90s, perhaps. I don't know. I don't really know that much about architecture or design to say that with any degree of confidence, but it strikes me as something that's a little bit 90s. Regardless, I wanted to put these plants in here, and I know this is nothing major, but it's important for, you know, moving forward, because this is something I'm going to try and do with Nerdköping, is try and make everything look like it's been there for a minute. I don't want everything to look new and shiny. I want to make it look like, you know, this wall has been here for maybe 25 years. Yes, the wall itself is kind of shiny looking, but with some plants here, with some plants there, it just looks like this area has a little bit more going on. It's not just the flat grass texture that everywhere else has. It just looks a little bit more interesting. So if you kind of come to here, you know, just this little snapshot, I think, is a lot more interesting than, you know, if we move along to like here, you know, you just have this flat, I mean, admittedly, the buildings are different, but you get what I mean. I think this is more interesting than not having those plants. And then finally, in terms of changes, we come here to the Metropolitan Airport, where I've done a couple of minor little things. So we'll start here on the left. I've added just what looks like a little checkpoint. I've got a couple of toll booths, I guess. We've got some barriers that can come down. And I just figure, you know, this would be the kind of thing that probably would exist at the entrance to an airport, especially to get out onto the tarmac. So we have this here. We have another one at the other end of the airport as well. And I've dotted a couple of UK-style police cars around this area as well. We have one here. I think that is a Mitsubishi Shogun. We have one down here, which is, I believe, a Volvo. And then towards the entrance of the airport, we have I'm not sure what that van is, but that's a BMW next to it. That might be a Ford. I don't know what the van is, but regardless, we have a BMW there. We have another BMW here as well. And then I think over this way, we have another, what is that, a Volvo? And there is a, what is it, a Range Rover somewhere? Yeah, right there we have a Range Rover kind of sitting around as well. That's something that you tend to see at busier airports, at least in the UK. You'll see a couple of police cars dotted around, but that's not the only change that I've made. I've gone ahead and finally gotten rid of those base game planes in favor of these beautiful models made by Squigglehausen. These things have been available on the Steam Workshop for years. I have used them so many different times. I absolutely adore them. And once you see them moving around, which, of course, this is the one time that we don't have any planes taking off or landing, but once you see them moving around, it just makes the airport look, oh, a little bit of lag there, makes the airport look that little bit better. Now, speaking of making it look a little bit better, I've decided to add in a few more taxiways. Oh, there's one right there. What are you doing? Are you gonna, there we go. Look at that thing. Absolutely beautiful. So it's gonna head out. It's gonna do its thing, take off, go wherever it's going, which is, where is it going? Let's have a little look here. You're going to, it doesn't say where you're going. Oh, that's unfortunate. Hold on a minute. Let me just follow you for a second. So you're taking off. You're still taking off. I think it's just going to perpetually say it's taking off, isn't it? It's not actually going to tell me where it's going. I think planes tell you though, don't they? Not planes, trains? Or am I thinking of, there we go, flying to Vermont. Okay, so that's where it's going. Anyway, we have a bunch of different sizes of planes as well. I've also placed a few around stationary, as we've already seen, so the airport looks a little busier than it perhaps is. But I also built this terminal out here, and I figure this is sort of maybe a private terminal or a charter terminal or something like that. I have put down a couple of the planes here as well. These are definitely not private planes, and I don't know if you would charter these kind of things either, but I just wanted them there so that from a distance it looks like there's something waiting at that terminal, so it doesn't just look quite as weird. Now, I do want to do more detail around this airport. I really want to latch onto that idea of making it look like it's been here for a while, but that's not what I want to do today, because we've had this area here, all of this industry just sitting around and looking a little ugly for a while. We've had this nuclear power plant sat here for a while, and I've been saying all that time that eventually we're going to redevelop this thing, and I think today is gonna be the day. At least today is gonna be the day that we start this project. So let's go ahead and grab the brush tool, and let's just go ahead and get rid of all of these trees here. And I do mean absolutely all of them, because I want to build a nuclear power plant, and I want it to be kind of chunky, kind of large. I want it to take up a lot of space, and I've got some assets from the Steam Workshop that are going to make that a lot easier, because they are pretty big, these assets. But we'll have a look at those once I get this area here just flattened down a little bit. It is going to be a little rough looking initially, because I'm not going to smooth out the mountain, so we are going to be dealing with that cliff right there. But eventually we will smooth it out, and eventually it's going to sort of sit into this area that little bit better. Now, I do want to take this opportunity to talk about a little something that you might have noticed already, which is that I have unlimited money. And that's basically because I've decided that, and I think you've probably realized this yourself in the last few episodes of the series if you had been following it before it took its break, this has pretty much become a creative series. Let's be honest. The management was there at the start, but at this point it is pretty much creative. And I'm just going to lean into that. It's not going to be full of time lapses. It's not going to be full of, it's not going to have time lapses for the most part. There might be one or two here and there, but I want it to be sort of slow. I want to talk through the process. I want to chill. I'm even talking a little quieter and with a little bit less, enthusiasm's not the word, but I'm talking a little quieter and a little calmer, I guess, for this series, because I just want it to have that vibe of being, relaxing and chill city skylines. There's not going to be any, oh my god moments. There's not going to be any crazy reactions. No, nothing like that. It's just good vibes, some lo-fi beats, which I would assume are probably playing in the background of the video right now, and a little bit of chill real-time building. So let's take a bit of a look at the scale of some of these buildings that we're going to be working with. I'm just going to place a road right here so that I can place all of these things down. And we're using buildings from the same pack. Now, I am probably not pronouncing this right, but to me that is Dole. Okay, D-O-E-L is like Dole, like the name Noel, N-O-E, or is that how you spell N-O-E-L-L-E? I don't know. Dole. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. This is a real nuclear power plant. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the country that it's in. I'm not even going to try and guess because I'll probably get it wrong. But it is a real thing, and it looks fantastic. Now, it's having some road issues there, which is a little strange. I'm wondering if maybe it needs to be connected sort of like that. No? Okay, it's a little odd that it's having some complaints about not being attached to a road. Maybe a road has to go right through the middle or something? I don't really know. That is a little strange. What if we were to maybe go in there with just this little guy? We'll turn anarchy on and just push that straight through the middle. No, it seems to still be having its issue. That's okay. I'm not really too worried about that. That issue will, be there, and we'll deal with it in time. But that's one of the buildings. We had another one there. I just want to space it out a little bit further. We've got this garage. We've got this middle section thing. We've got the reactors themselves, which sit really, really nicely together. We've also got some pipes. We've got other pipes. We have sub-pipes and sub-pipes and fans. We have this pump as well, which is kind of perfect, honestly. I absolutely love that thing. It's kind of fantastic looking. And we have cooling towers, which are enormous. absolutely enormous. But at the very least, this is going to let us create a really interesting looking nuclear power plant. So let me go ahead and clean up all of this and figure out how exactly I'm going to put this all together. I did pick this area kind of deliberately because of this shape of the land right here, because what I'm wanting to do is go in here with some roads, and I want to do something a bit like this right here. We'll go about 35 units that way, and I want to go ahead and do something a bit like, say, this. Well, 135 will do. Something like this. And then what I want to do is I want to go sort of this way a little bit, and I want to come over here, and I basically want these to kind of line up. I might want them to be kind of perfectly spaced out. So we'll do this, we'll do that right there, and that's going to give us just a little bit of space for some water to flow in. So what I'm hoping is going to end up being a relatively decent little space. So bring this over, give me 135 right there, and that's going to go to about that spot, and I'm going to go 135 again to about there. So this is kind of where I want water to flow in, and then I want to have some space here, so I need another 135 right about there, and we're going to bring this sort of down. We're going to go, I guess, 135 there. We're going to go 135 there. And we're going to do the same again. I'm going to stick with sort of hard angles on this rather than doing curves, because I just think it's going to look a little bit more interesting that way. And basically, we're going to try to have just a nice sort of body of water right here. Doesn't need to be anything too crazy, but just a little something kind of nice, a little something to make the area look a little bit more interesting, I suppose. So we'll do that, and then 135 that way. And I guess we could probably expand this road right about there. Now, obviously, I'm going to need to put some keys around this whole thing. Obviously, we're going to need to sink all the terrain down as well. But I think the first thing we should do is grab all of that and make sure that all of it is level to, let's see, object height, that height right there, which it now is. And now we get to pick what key we're going to be using. And I'm thinking it probably needs to be something probably a little bit thin. So maybe this concrete key right here, because I don't think it is, it's not too thick, which is beautiful. It's just going to be a case of getting this thing to actually go where I want it to go, which I guess, thanks to Anarchy, is easy enough. So we'll go for there. We'll have road guidelines on so I can get this thing to line up with itself, which I think that more or less does. Yeah, that's pretty good. So it lines up there. This guy is going to go to that spot, and we'll get you to line up right about there as well. 136 is fine. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, but I think it's going to be pretty close. You know, it just took me this long to realize that this building is actually all of the different components combined into one building. Now that's kind of cool, and that gives me an idea, because it means what I could do is I could go ahead and grab, say, let's say this guy right, yeah, let's say this guy right here, and let's say this guy right here, and I can grab both of those. If I grab props, no, they're buildings, so we grab some buildings. If I copy them and I spin them around a bit, I could potentially have them cross over the road. Now, admittedly, we have that sort of joining point there, which is a little bit weird, but here's what I'm thinking, right? We have two buildings to work with here. So why don't we, we'll get rid of that one for now. Copy you, rotate around, and just put those 2 points together. Something a bit like that. And then what I can do is just grab both of them, shuffle it over, and suddenly you have something like that. where, you know, it's some pipes going over the road. Yes, the join point exists. Yes, it looks a little bit weird, but I don't think it looks that bad, to be completely honest. I just don't think it looks that bad. So I think that's kind of what we're going to do. So we can have some pipes kind of going over the road. And I think that's what we're going to do at the other end as well. Now, if I rotate this around, there's not really any way I can, you know, I could go there with some extra pipes, but then you can see it on the far side. So we're basically going to have to go and get the other pipes and essentially do the same thing, but that's okay. We'll just go ahead and grab you. We can rotate around. We can put the two ends together, which is more or less that. If we just grab both, we shuffle it over. We're still going to have this end sort of sticking out. In fact, I wonder if it would be better to... Well, yeah, I guess that end sticking out forces us to be a little bit... Wait, did I do this wrong? I think I did do this wrong. I think I've just grabbed the wrong buildings. Hold on a second. So get rid of you. What am I looking at here? I want this one, right? Yeah, I do. So I want this guy here. And that's what we're looking for. I grabbed the wrong buildings there, which means we're not going to have to worry about anything sticking out the end. So you go right about there. We just grab both you and you, move you down, and essentially this guy is going to go... How close did we get there? We got pretty close to the pipes. So right about there, move the fence right up to the road. And I think that looks okay. It's just a little interesting. It's a little something. We have a little something going over the road. I think that's kind of cool. I do want something at this end of the building as well, though. And I'm kind of thinking that's where the garage could go. If I was to maybe put a little road kind of going up the side there. Although the back of it is completely plain. So maybe it would be a better idea to push a road, say, there. And then the garage can kind of go... Well, it would have to go the other way around, but that's fine, actually. If I just place it like that, kind of move it, we can actually just copy it, rotate it this way. And then just nicely try and slot it into that space. So roughly, I don't know why my camera just moved, roughly right about there. And I think that's okay. I don't know if it actually has a road connection right now or not, but it's not complaining, so that's all right. It does have a little bit of grass visible underneath, but the garage doors themselves are exactly where we need them to be. And I don't think it looks too bad there. It just fills up the space nicely, so that can go away. I have decided to run a road into the back of this building because I thought that would look kind of interesting as well. And I do like how this looks. I think it's pretty neat, to be completely honest. So what else do we have? We have the middle section here. Now this is the bit that sort of sticks out. Wait, I'm placing it there. This is the bit that kind of sticks out in that kind of way from the back of this thing. In fact, I think it connects to right here. So I think what we're probably gonna do, now that I really think about it, is copy you, rotate around like this, and I'm thinking we kind of line you up like that right there, so that actually they could probably be pushed right together. But you've got that little bit of symmetry in the middle, and then we have room for, you know, a reactor here and a reactor here. And we could maybe do another one. We could maybe do a third, but I'm not so sure. Regardless, let's just place you. And let's place you. And I'm just going to copy them. So you are going to go... I'm thinking something like this. I'm thinking they kind of connect to those like raised sections there. So something like that for one of the reactors. And then the other one would go, if we grab, say, you. The other one would go something like this right here, if I can get it to line up properly, which I think I can. Something roughly like that. I think that's okay. I think that kind of works. It keeps the reactors a little bit away from the water. They're not going to be just completely on the water. But it gives us something that's a little different looking to this as well, which is what I want. And it kind of gives us room to put some fans in there as well. And I also obviously do still want cooling towers. And I'm kind of thinking the cooling towers, I don't really know, actually. The cooling towers, they're massive, and I do really like them. Maybe just one? I don't know if one cooling tower is going to cut it, though, but we'll see. Let's get rid of you for now. Let's place a giant cooling tower right there. And I guess it's not so bad. It maybe doesn't need to be right on the water, but it's not so bad. Actually, you know what I think we could do with the cooling towers? I think we will just commit to the idea of putting them down here. Now, obviously, I've done a little bit of tweaking to some things around here. I've gone ahead and put in some more roads. I've got these guys out here. I've got this road changed into one with a little median right there. But what I think we do is we put a cooling tower, say, right about there. I think we go about 30, maybe 40 units that way. We go 12 there. We go 12 there. And I think we put another cooling tower right about there. I think for now, this is kind of okay. And I think at this point, we just need some smaller kind of power plant looking buildings in here. So that's kind of where this guy's going to come in. I have these substations, and I think, honestly, I don't know if it makes sense having them in the middle of the power plant, but I do like the idea of one, say, there and there. And I think having those at sort of the edge of the power plant, kind of facing the city, is kind of cool. I like that a lot. And I kind of do like the idea of having a couple of them, right in here. So there and there. I don't know if they would exist there, and maybe actually turning them around slightly would be a bit of a better idea. So kind of having them, say, I don't know, here and here would be a bit of an idea, or maybe say there. I don't mind that too much, actually. I think that's kind of interesting, especially if I was to say grab this one, copy it, paste it down. We can delete the original and then basically use move it to just push these together so that they kind of look, I don't know necessarily how realistic this is, but it looks interesting. And I think that's kind of more of what I'm going for as opposed to realism. So I don't mind that too much. Let me grab the other one. Let me move both of these so they're roughly central, and we'll just kind of move them down to about there. Maybe just a little tiny bit further to about there should be fine. And then we just need a section of road over here. So if we grab this guy and just bring it straight down, it connects to that guy. We'll bring you straight down as well. And I think that looks okay. It fills up the space. It does what I'd want it to do. And I think, to be honest, what I'm probably going to do here is grab this brush and just paint. Maybe not. Maybe not. Doesn't really work the way I'd want it to. I'll tell you what. I don't have ploppable asphalt just yet. I keep forgetting to get it from the Steam Workshop. So I'm just going to do a regular old pedestrian path right here. Lights included and everything. And I'm just going to put it right about there. And I think that'll be all right. It actually, it perfectly goes under that. Yeah, that's absolutely what we're going to do. We'll turn off building selection. We'll move you in a little further. And I think that looks okay. Now, yeah, there's a little tiny bit of dirt there, but that's okay. Actually, what about there? I mean, yes, this hut thing is not perfectly lined up with the concrete, but I think that's okay. I think we're just gonna have to deal with that. And I'm also wondering, can I do this? Can I push that through there? And then maybe sort of have one going through on the other side as well? Something like that. I don't know how good that looks. I'm not so sure I like that. Oh, no. I'm not so sure I like that. So we'll grab that node, we'll delete it, and we'll just keep this kind of as is for now. It's gonna need a fair bit more detailing, but it fills up that space. As for this bit, I'm feeling like, I don't know if we'd have parking lots like right in here. I feel like this would be sort of another kind of main sort of admin looking building, and the closest we have is this thing. But obviously we already have this guy, and I don't really want it that close to the cooling towers. So what can we do is the question. I mean, we could kind of put it there, but obviously it's blocking the roads, which I don't really want it doing. We have the middle section, which actually placing that middle section down again, I don't really mind doing that. Looking at it, it kind of looks okay. So we could grab that and we can kind of shuffle it because it doesn't have any of the concrete base on it. So we can kind of shuffle it, say there. And I think it looks all right. Now, I do want to come in here and I do want to do a couple of things. I want to just push a little bit of road into there. I want to push this road straight through there because it goes underneath that right there, which is okay. I'm thinking we can maybe shuffle you just a teeny tiny little bit to make that line up better. And I want to have a road that comes around the back here as well. So I want it to go there and into the building because we have got a little garage door right there. So what I can do is grab, well, turn off building selection, grab this node, move it down a little bit and just line it up real nice with that door so that we have a path going right in there. This guy is going to need shuffled down ever so slightly. This guy needs shuffled a little bit as well. And obviously we're just going to see vehicles driving into the building, and obviously that's going to look a little bit silly, but we can just use our imagination and imagine that the doors are opening, right? That's all we're going to have to do there. That's all we can do. So that's fine. I'm also going to connect you straight down there just because I can, and connect you straight over there because I can. A lot of this space is probably going to end up being paved. So having very kind of clearly marked out roads, I think is going to be really useful. And I think what I'm going to have to do is actually put like cones and bollards and things like that along a lot of the roads before I fully pave this space. But before we even get there, I want to start putting in some paths, and I'm going to use gravel paths because it's so much easier to do things this way. And basically what I'm wanting to do is I want to, well, I say gravel paths. No one's going to be walking around here. Although I could get some crowd generator things from the Steam Workshop, but I don't know if I want to do that. That might be a little bit silly, having crowds gathering at the nuclear power plant, so maybe we'll not do that. I'll tell you what I will do though. I'm going to go ahead and put a fan right in that corner and right in that corner as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but I felt like those corners needed a little something just to fill them up a little bit. Actually, it would probably make so much more sense to put the fans in that space, right? So one there and one there. Yeah, that makes so much more sense. It fills it up. It leaves this space a little bit more open, but that's okay. We have this space filled up a little bit more with a bit of distance between the cooling towers. Now, I do think it's going to make sense to have some parking lots out here. I'm not too sure that they should be in these areas at the front of this building, but that's pretty much where I'm going to put them because it's about one of the only areas that we've really got. So a couple of parking lots on each side there. Admittedly, that terrain is going to need a little bit of attention, but a couple of parking lots there and probably a couple of others just across that area as well, I think will help to start paving all of this, because again, this is going to end up being a bit of a it's going to be a bit of a project, right? It's going to take us a little bit to get this entire thing done, and that's partly down to the fact that oh man, let me do this. Oh, it's not going to let me do that, is it? That's unfortunate. Okay, we're going to have a weird sort of mound of dirt right there. I think I can just about get it underneath the water line. That's not perfect, but I think it's going to have to do us. Let me grab you and just sort of shuffle you down a little bit. And let me grab you and sort of shuffle you down a little bit. And I think it's good enough. It's good enough for now. What I would like to do is I'd like to go in, I'd like to grab a road and sort of bring it back here. And I'd like to do the same here as well. I mean, we already have a road there, so that's good. And basically, I'm going to try and use these roads as a way to get more parking lots into these spaces. So we'll have a little kind of road that does that. We'll have this guy sort of go something like that. Although I think you need to go down a little bit further to about there. Yeah, that's even enough. This one now needs to go a tiny little bit, but that's about even enough. And what we can do is just grab a smaller parking lot or two, if it would let me select the search thing. There we go. So a smaller parking lot or two. We have these guys, which will certainly sort of do the job. We do at least have a slight problem though with this gap here, but I think that's just gonna have to be something we deal with. Honestly, I'm not really too worried about it. I can shuffle these guys along for one. I don't think there's any way I'm getting rid of the gap. Well, I say that actually. There's a very easy way to get rid of it if I just do that, right? Doesn't really even it out though. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to deal with the fact that that's not gonna be even. And then if I pave over it, that might help a little bit. I guess it sort of does. I'm just gonna pave over this entire area here. We are gonna have some sort of weirdness going on with the connections and whatnot, but I think that's fine. I think we can manage for now, having a little bit of weird connecting going on. And then we just have this area in the middle, which needs something. In fact, you know what? We can't pave this because I need to be able to see where all of our bollards and things like that are going to go. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's get rid of you and let's get rid of you. Let's get rid of those guys as well. Get rid of that road and get rid of you. Because what we can do is just extend these up as we've done. And then the parking lots, I mean, they're more or less going to be in the same place if we do it this way. So we just do them sideways instead of the way we were doing them. And yes, the distance from the middle is still different, but the little cluster of parking is now a little bit more identical, which is kind of what we're going for. So shuffle you down to there. And that looks all right. That is going to be a little bit easier to work with, I think, even though the terrain's still a little scuffed. Now, in terms of getting people out here, I've decided to just go with a really simple tunnel. And basically, it just goes underneath the mountain. It's just going to connect to here for now. And I'm okay with doing this because that road's not that busy. And that is our main way to get to the airport right now. So it's not a crazy busy road. It's going to let garbage get out there to deal with the problems that we're having with garbage. It's going to let people get out here, which is what we want. And it's going to let vehicles start driving around this area, which is also what we want. So it's going to just start to make this area have a bit of a purpose. I'm also curious, this thing generates 3,200 megawatts of power. I've only just noticed that. That is a ridiculous amount of power. Okay. I'd never actually noticed that before. Okay. What did the cooling towers generate? Nothing. Okay. So what we can go ahead and do, I guess, is bring a power pylon out here. And I guess we're going to sort of bring them, I don't know, down this way a little bit. We'll kind of bring them across the road a little bit. And we'll bring them to connect next to the, I guess they can connect next to that. I don't know how well this is all going to line up though, because obviously these things are going to need to be, well, I don't know how good this is going to look either, now that I think about it, but I guess we're going to find out. So those will be connected together. So what we do is just run you to there. We are missing a pylon in the middle though. So let's just cut either side like that and connect you across the road. And then for all of this, we can just take out all of you and run some pylons down there, which are nicely spaced out. And then we want a 135. And this is going to let me at least sort of make it look like maybe some of this power is coming out of this thing, which it very clearly isn't, but, you know, we can fake it until we make it, I guess. And honestly, this is okay. This works. It sort of does the job. It tells the story. You know, these are the, I guess, the substations where power gets transmitted out to the city. And I also realized I can grab the nodes where these pylons would be, and I can just lower those cables. Now, the cables are floating very clearly, but from a little bit of a distance, you kind of can't tell. And that makes me kind of happy because it really looks like they're now connected to the substation, which they kind of are. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. I like that this is now connected to everything else. I like that, you know, it's technically now functioning, which is great. I do think maybe we move the cooling towers though. I do think that's something we're going to have to do. And we're not going to finish this today, I don't think. I think this is going to be something that I'll probably work on in the, well, probably a little bit between episodes, but also in the next episode as well. So let's take out the cooling towers. Let's take out these sections of road here. And let's take out you and you as well. And what we can do is we can grab the road with the median. We can go to here and make sure it's ground level. And basically, if I turn off grid snapping and I snap it to 150 degrees with road guidelines off, it can run the entire length of the key. And I'm okay with that. This guy is going to come down to there. This guy is going to come back down to there. And what I'm thinking I might do is bring it back a little bit and then connect it to there. And I think that is where the cooling towers can go. So let me grab all of these nodes, except for that one, and that one, and make sure that they are all the same height, which they now are. Now that does become a bit of a problem there. So I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go to here and have that be the cutoff, because we do have that sloping down and I don't want to mess with it. That might force the cooling towers to be kind of close together, but we will find out. So let's grab you, and I can put one there, and I can put one there. And they are a little close together. I don't know how I feel about it. What if we maybe move this one to be kind of here again? So it's kind of, you know, it's on a different section road. It's a little bit further away. I like that. I do. They're still very close together, and they're a little bit closer to the mountain now, but I don't mind that too much. go. This is looking pretty good, actually. I'm kind of happy with how that turned out. Got a couple of extra bits of curb in there. That's the word I'm looking for. A couple of extra bits of curb. Got some plants back here. Got some plants over here. And I threw a couple of extra little plants in here as well. And I love how that looks. I really love how that looks. And I'm thinking like I've said about 3 times now, as tedious as it's going to be putting the curbs around everything else, just looking at this has me convinced that it's absolutely worth it, because it just looks right. You know, it just sets things into the terrain. It makes it look proper. It makes it look finished. And now I just need to do it with the rest of the power plant, which is going to be something for a future episode, because this one, I'm not going to say how long I've been recording for, but it's about 4 or 5 times longer than any other video I've recorded recently. And some of those took a while, so this has been fun. This has actually been a really, I don't know if it's been chill to watch. I don't know what this is going to be like in the edit. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but it's been really fun. I also forgot this area. Oh man, I wanted to put okay, no, this isn't the end of the episode yet. We're just really quickly, I need to build something in here, because this needs to have like trucks in it or something. So just oh man, I'm getting addicted to City Skylines again. This is not good. There are so many games coming out soon that I am so excited to play, and I might end up being addicted to City Skylines 6.5 years after it comes out all over again. Oh boy, that seems dangerous. So that's kind of a start. Let's do this as well, and let me just move you over a teeny tiny little bit just to cover some of the grass that was under it. Move you down to about there and go in. Move you over, say, that much and go in. Move you to there and go like that. Okay. So that's going to give me a nice little entranceway. It's going to let me just move that to get rid of the line underneath it. Move you down a tiny little bit. Move you down a tiny little bit. And move you to that corner. That'll let me grab the segment, which, well, it should let me grab the segment, which it is. And I can just curve that around the corner really nicely there. So let me go ahead and grab all of those nodes so that we can lower all of them down to be curbs, because that's kind of what they're supposed to be. They are generally just going to be curbs again. So all of you guys get lowered down to the same height as the other ones. And that looks all right. This area kind of was supposed to, I was going to turn it into a parking lot originally, and I still kind of want to do that. I don't know. To be honest, the way I've been kind of doing some of the, so like this area, for example, I mentioned I don't have ploppable asphalt. So how did I get this nice straight line? Well, I hate to say it, but I'm grabbing roads. Basically, that's what I'm doing. I'm just grabbing entire sections of road, and that's how I'm like paving all of these different areas. And it's not very efficient, you know. It's really not. Well, let me rephrase that. It is efficient. I just don't imagine it's good for the game. I imagine the game at some point is going to be like, hey man, can you maybe stop placing so many roads, because it's causing some problems for me. Meanwhile, I'm going to be sitting here like, well, City Skylines, I'd love to, but I have yet to go to the Steam Workshop after however many months of building this city to get the ploppable asphalt. So we are going to be doing it this way. And we'll just grab these guys as well. And this is just the way I'm going to do this for now. I know it's not efficient, but it does what I need it to do. So it's what I'm doing. I am thinking we can just bring you down a little bit though, just so I can, you know, not have to get like a weird road in there. And that looks fine. So it's paved the area, which is what we wanted it to do. And I'm thinking I'm just going to put some, honestly, probably just shipping containers in there. Shipping containers and a couple of trucks, a couple of little things like that. So we have like, we have these guys, which I absolutely adore. So we'll do 1, we'll do 2. And I'm going to, they're technically buildings, these things, by the way. So we'll just go ahead and throw them sort of right about there. And I'm thinking we'll delete the originals because they obviously need to go. And I'm going to move this one just a little closer to his friend and put him at a bit of an angle, just so they don't look kind of identical. I mean, they are identical, but so they don't look identical, right? So something a bit like that. And then in terms of other vehicles, we have a flatbed truck. I'm not really sure why it would be here, but I figure we might as well do some kind of like flatbed truck out here just because. And I don't think they come in any different colors, so we'll kind of just leave them be and throw some containers in there, I think. And there we go. I've put some decals in here. We got some containers, some vehicles. It fills up the space kind of nicely. And I've done some decals over here as well, just sort of randomly. It's far from finished, but it just brings the area together that little bit more. I got some across here as well. Oh, just across here because I, kind of like the way they look. And I also went ahead and did just a couple of trees out here. This area just in general probably needs a little bit more in the way of, well, to be completely honest, decal work, because there is a decent dirt decal in here somewhere. I don't remember exactly where it is, but it does exist. And it will definitely be something kind of useful for this space. I'm actually not 100% sure where it is, but it exists, all right? That's the most I can say about it. There it is. This guy right here would actually be kind of useful to help blend out just some of this. But this is all stuff that we can do and kind of pay a bit of close attention to in the next episode, because if I don't wrap this up right now, I am just going to keep going and we're going to get into... I don't know how long this video is going to be. I really don't, but I'm really enjoying this. Hopefully you are as well. Hopefully you're happy to see Nerdköping back, because I am as well. I'm kind of excited to sort of take it in a bit of a different direction, I suppose. I haven't really done anything completely creatively focused on the channel in a while, so this is kind of a nice little return to form for City Skylines here in the channel. I think it's, a lot of people found the channel through some of the creative city stuff that I did, and it's nice to be doing that again. It's a good feeling. I'm kind of enjoying it. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. If you enjoyed the video, do feel free, please, to leave a like on it. I would appreciate it. It's been so much fun, and I'm really excited to see where this is going. So, if you enjoyed it, just consider it. That's all I'm saying. Just consider it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.